thank you, and thank you everybody for coming to the October meeting of City Island Rising. I appreciate those of you who came out today. I know we're competing with the Yankee game, and in deference to certain people's religious beliefs about the Yankees, we will try to keep this meeting running smoothly and running quickly so that everybody who wants to go and see it after this is welcome to do so. So those of you who don't know who I am, my name is John Doyle, either if you're watching online or in the room. Appreciate you coming out and building community with us. I'm joined tonight by two of our board members, Louisa Benedetto and Kim Woodruff, who are right over here. Thank you guys for your tech savviness as well. And I just want to thank, because we do have an elected official representative here, so we're going to breeze through a lot of this. The senator was trying to make it here today. I know she's, again, they're going back into Albany pretty soon. There's a lot on the agenda, and the fact she sent someone we do appreciate. And we will come back to you towards the middle of the program. Everybody, just make sure if you didn't sign in the sign-in sheet, please do. This is how you probably all got the text message and the emails, so we do send that out. And every other month, to keep people informed, we do send out a pretty lengthy email of all the different things we're working on. So we want to make sure you're informed, and the best way to do that is to have your contact information. And then you can always text us back if you have a community issue. Some of you have been doing that, and I want to thank you for doing that. Or you can email us at City Island Rising, one word, no spaces, no dots, no anything, @gmail.com. First, we want to start with just some news, and that is that we have chosen a winner for the Yes the Ferry City Island logo contest. I want to thank, and the board wants to thank, everyone who contributed designs. There were about 4 or 5 people who really contributed. I want to say 4 or 5 designs each, which was very nice of them. And I want to thank both Louisa and David and Kim, I guess 3 people, who all submitted some input on the design. And our winner is Miss Sullivan, who lives in one of the surrounding communities, and she submitted this wonderful design. I'm going to pass a few of these around. It's actually looking good. So this is, just so everyone understands, this is going to be on the placard. Some iteration of this is going to be on the placard that says, Yes, City Island Ferry. It's going to have the QR code. Business owners can put it in their window, and homeowners or renters or whomever, neighborhood residents, can put it in their windows. And it sparks a discussion, and it makes it very, very easy to put this right on your phone, start a conversation, and get people to take action. Because it's going to lead people right to the Yes City Island Ferry website, and that takes them to our web form, which gets to our elected officials at the city level, and our petition, which is over, we're getting close to 3,000 signatures. Between the hard copy form, thank you, and hard copy form and the electronic version is over 2,000. So let's all keep at it. I'm going to pass, I'm going to hand this to you, my friend. I'm going to pass a few of these around so everyone can take a look at it. But we should have them, if not by the next meeting, very, very shortly thereafter, printed and ready to go. Also, we are meeting with some of the elected officials to discuss the ferry options more in depth. And I want to thank, we had the city council meeting, which I spoke about at our last meeting, the hearing. I went down, I testified, which is great, but people are probably sick and tired of hearing from me. The important thing is that many people did submit testimony from City Island, a lot of businesses and a lot of residents. So please keep doing that. Please keep emailing your elected officials, because it all was registered into the record. And some of the businesses were, people who are deeply rooted in the community. And I think them speaking out is going to help us persuade people and move the needle. So we're going to be meeting with some of the other elected officials about this project. We are also grateful because not only did so many deeply rooted City Island people testify, but we're also grateful because the League of Conservation Voters, which is broadly considered one of the premier environmental organizations in the state, they actually came out and said that the City Island Ferry makes sense. So that's a big statewide organization, and we're also grateful for our partnership with the Waterfront Alliance, who we continue to liaison with and collaborate with on coastal cleanups and everything else. And they submitted testimony on behalf of a broad expansion of the ferry, but one of those stops definitely included City Island. So we're facilitating and making partnerships, myself, our board here, Beverly Jones, David Diaz, and others, and we're building something broader. And we're actually probably going to create some level of a coalition with a lot of the other communities that want a ferry in the Bronx. That's Highbridge on the western side of the Bronx, near Yankee Stadium. And we also have Carnegie, Brooklyn wants a ferry. There's a group out there trying to do it. And then Coney Island, actually. So City Island and Coney Island together in common cause. You would think we were much closer than we actually are. But stay tuned. We'll be doing that. And what we're also going to start doing, we've got someone who's got some great videography skills, is we're going to start doing in-person testimonials from people, residents like yourselves, business owners, talking about the need for the ferry. So if someone you think is a very powerful, persuasive person on the ferry, someone who could tell their life story, or not life story, but tell from their personal viewpoint of why a ferry is needed. I know we have some people on our board who would be very, very good at that, so I'm looking at some of them. But we definitely want people, we want to bring in new voices that people might lend a receptive ear from to hear why the ferry is needed. And some of the stories that were submitted in the testimony, people, I'm a third generation City Islander and I can't believe we don't have it. Another person was, I moved away from the neighborhood. If the ferry was here, I'd probably come back. That's the kind of story that moves other people in the neighborhood. Some of the businesses speaking about how rough it is out here in the winter, and we're grateful for them being here, but they need a shot in the arm as well. And you only have to go walk home after this and you see the for sale signs up. So, there is a economic issue here, and if we're going to be honest with each other, this has been going on longer than one recession or two recessions. This has been going on for 15 years at least. So we have more we have to do. But if people want to sign up for a video testimonial, email us at cityislandrising@gmail.com. Thankfully, so many of you have emailed with comments about the ferry, most of them overwhelmingly positive. We will pick from that as well. And the goal is to build on our web ads that we've had up there that I brought to the last meeting, that we've been paying to get thousands of impressions on. And we're going to try now to do the same with video. So lend your voice to the cause, and let's see what we can do together. Also on the community updates, the Great City Island Swap. This was our Stop and Swap event. Now, Stop and Swap is actually a trademarked item, so we can't call it Stop and Swap anymore, but we're going to call it the Great City Island Swap that we had in Hawkins Park last fall. We had it last October. Just due to scheduling conflicts and everything else, we're probably going to have it in November. So it's either going to be in Hawkins Park, or I'm trying to get an indoor location, probably Grace Episcopal Church, that's not confirmed, where everyone can come, drop off their stuff. I know people have been reaching out to members of our board because I've been hearing it from them. We are planning to have the swap again. So if you have your stuff that's in good condition, nothing stained, nothing that's too ripped to wear, things like that, keep it, and within the next few days we should have a finalized date where we could do the swap. I want to thank 3 people from the email list stepped up to volunteer on the swap, and Alice Schachter, who probably is watching online but is not here in the room with us today. She is going to help us put the swap together again, and she and Millie Perez did a wonderful job last year, so we're going to take all that intellect and know-how and put it to use again this year. We also...
John?
Yes?
So why can't you just change the name to Stop to Swap?
You could. I don't want to be too clever because, lawyers don't tend to like that, but, I think that is a good point. We should do something like that. And as I put down here, it's actually down here twice, but volunteers are still needed. It usually takes about 5 or 6 people to kind of just guide people as they come in, get them to drop off the stuff, help us go through it, organize it, whatever, and get it ready to go. So if you'd like to be involved in that, we'd love to have you. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was asking, what is the swap exactly?
Sure. So the swap is, thank you for asking that. I should have maybe been a little bit more explanative. The swap is an event where if you have stuff like kind of like thrifting stuff, maybe you have a jacket, maybe you have children's books, maybe you have stuff, you know, in your basement in good condition that someone else would want, and you'd rather just drop it off. What we do is we have a drop-off location, children's stuff, clothes, household stuff, and people come in, they drop off their stuff. We have a 2-hour period. Then we stop for an hour, we sort the things and make sure they're all in the right place, and then we reopen an hour later. And last year, over, I think it was like 200 people came through and picked up stuff, and there was a very nice exchange. There's no money, you don't pay for anything, but it's a nice way. If you have stuff in your home that you think could have a second life, this is a very good way of furthering that. So. Next up, we are fortunate that our state senator has also given us a bunch of basement pumps and flood walls that came from DEP. So we have, I want to say, about a dozen of each. We've got to prioritize people who are close to flood-prone areas or people who deal with flooding. I know you submitted one, and obviously you're near a flood area, so we're going to give you one. But for everyone else, just if you're near a flood-prone area, if you know someone who's near a flood-prone area, have them email us. We did get back a few responses, so we still got a number to give out. So just let us know, but we want to give that out. I'm also trying to assess, we've, in the past, I want to say every other year, because this group's been in existence for 5 years, we've done a Narcan training for naloxone. Obviously, substance abuse remains a problem in many neighborhoods, not including City Island. Is there anyone who would be interested in doing in getting trained for how to administer naloxone or Narcan this year? I know many people in this room have already been trained in the past. Patrick, okay. So we'll talk offline. If anyone else is interested, you don't need to make the decision right now. We're going to put it out to the group, and we'll see what sort of response we get. The Department of Health, to come administer it, only asks that we give them a room of 10 to 15 people. So usually we shoot to get 20 or 30, anticipating that some people, because it's, life is crazy, do drop out. So we'll put something out there, we'll see what we can do. But again, it's very important. And then once you have your Narcan training, if you ever need a secondary Narcan or anything like that, you make a contact, DOH sends a representative and you get that person's card and they'll mail you the naloxone to your house. And it's a good thing. Not passing judgment, but particularly in the wintertime, people struggle with the holidays and things like that, and we want to make sure that treatment options are available for people, and that if we can help save someone, that's the most important thing we can do. So it's well worth to do the training. Does anyone have any questions on any of the things in the community updates we just spoke about, from the ferry, to the swap, to the pumps, to the Narcan? Yes.
Metro North, something about Metro North.
Yes, I do have that down. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I did have that there. I must have skipped over that. So that's my secondary thing I wanted to see. Everyone knows the Metro Norths are coming soon. There was just a rezoning that passed in Morris Park about a month and a half ago. I just wanted to, my thought is, and I wanted to run this by the people in this room and the people watching online and our board who will catch most of this later. I'm going to try to get us a speaker from Metro North to talk about what they're planning there, just so people are aware. Obviously, our focus has been the ferry, but having a Metro North nearby is a good thing, and there should be greater engagement with the community, and they're committed to doing that. So just stay tuned. Thank you for that, Phil. And we are going to have, or we're going to try to get, rather, a Metro North representative to come here. They can speak about the rezoning, the construction project process, and kind of what the grander vision is for the 4 stations. Most people from City Island are presumably probably going to take the Co-op City station because we're located somewhat nearby. About 2 or 3 years ago, we submitted to the Department of City Planning our thoughts that maybe a good walking path that was well lit right to the This train station would be worthwhile, so we'll be following up on that on our own. But in any event, it's good that we're aware of our wider surroundings. No person is an island, even if they live on City Island, so we have to pay attention to what's going on around us. And again, this is going to really be transformative. It's going to cut commute times, from, 15 minutes, 20 minutes to downtown, to Midtown Manhattan from the usual hour it takes on the 6. So, good stuff on the horizon. Go ahead, Patrick.
Are you going to talk about the pumps and flood walls as well?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Are you going to talk about the pumps and flood walls?
Yes, I just did. If people are interested, just email us. We still have about a dozen of each. I have you on the list, so appreciate you. And I know you get flooded because we've worked together on that. But if anyone else is in a flood-prone area, this is, again, the senator gave this to us, so we want to get this out into the community, particularly around this time when the flooding's at its worst. So people watching online, if they want to comment, they can email us or they can comment on this video, and we will get in touch. Old business. So we've talked a lot about how the cell phone reception in Pelham Bay Park is poor, amongst other issues in Pelham Bay Park. We've been in touch with T-Mobile. They have went through a very long process, but they agree that their cell phone apparatus within the park, which is visible when you go over the bridge to the Hutch, that needs to be modernized. There were some environmental concerns that have since been resolved, and my belief, and I'm getting it verified right now, but my belief is that construction has already started. And how you can tell that is by the Bartopel Circle. Does anyone here a night owl or go out at night? I'm not going to stitch on you to your spouse or anyone in your family. I'm just asking. Well, I come home some nights pretty late, and I will tell you in the traffic circle, there's a number of trucks parked in that circle. So at first I was like, what's going on? So I'm a little nosy too, I'll admit that. Self-awareness is important. So I drove around and I came back around the circle, and they were all construction vehicles that were parked there. And then as I went over the bridge, there was a huge spotlight on up there. So construction is going on right there. And because we know it's not part of the Metro North construction, we know that chances are it's likely T-Mobile. I'm trying to get it confirmed right now, but the hope is that this will be resolved within the next 4 to 6 weeks. So why that's important, obviously, beyond convenience purposes, is that if your car breaks down, if you hit one of the many potholes that are within the park, which we'll get to a little later on in the program, it is important that that you be able to call for help, call your family, whatever, and God forbid there's some sort of personal safety issue. We've had issues in the park, as people recall over the years, where there's been assaults or attempted assaults and things like that. And people need to be able to call for help when they need it, and this is important to emergency response. To that end, on the other side of the emergency response spectrum here, we have the Rodman Sec Monitoring Committee meeting. This will be sometime in November. I'm trying to, and the way this will be different is usually we've had the monitoring meetings at Community Board 10. A lot of you have made it known. You do, it's not a very convenient place to travel to, or that you would be more inclined to attend the meeting if it was on City Island. So we spoke to the board of the 45th Precinct Council, of which I serve, and they have agreed to hold the next monitoring committee meeting on City Island. So I've reached out to a few businesses to host us. I'm hoping to have an answer in the next 2 to 3 days, and then we will get out a flyer. Please come to that meeting, especially if it's on the island. I think if the room's not packed with City Islanders, it sends a good message about our commitment to these things. And we will talk about the bomb detonations, the legislation that's been proposed, and their construction projects. So there's a lot to talk about. And Nancy, I know you will be there.
Reconstruction.
I know.
We cannot build another firing range here.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Okay.
a waste of money, among other things, because it's in a flood zone.
I understand
We
that.
cannot afford to lose a single tree.
I agree that no tree should be harmed in the production of this range.
It will be if they do it there.
Okay, well, these are all great things that I want you to bring that passion to the meeting and your commitment, and we'll see where we go from there. Also, and this we kind of have pretty much resolved. The community organizations active in disaster, which has been our emergency response effort, our COAD group, of which we've had a good working group. We finally pinned down a date with Jacoby. We're going to have the director of the Jacoby Emergency Response Department. She's going to come, and we're going to do a community-based vulnerability assessment. That's primarily going to deal with how would we, as a neighborhood, respond if we couldn't get over the bridge. So this is going to be something very good. We're going to identify vulnerable populations. We're going to identify what our emergency response plans are, who needs to do what in such a situation, and it's going to be led by somebody who is well-trained and does this stuff for a living. So I'm hopeful that it's going to be a great training, and it's going to continue to build in our collective group for what we need to ask for emergency response efforts. I had a meeting personally with DEP. We went through a bunch of our flood locations. Just to go through some of them here. We're trying to get a study of some of the areas on the island. We're also looking at City Island and Tier Street, Bay Street, both sides of Ditmar Street, and obviously the area by Turtle Cove, which we're all familiar with. We've been in touch also with the mayor's office. We had a big walk through with them earlier in the year. There's a lot going on in the city of New York, as we're all familiar with. We all watch the news. And but the people we've been working with are still in their respective positions, and they promised us some further updates. What we've already seen progress on, as everyone here knows, is the Miniford Moat has been taken care of, and the catch basin by Revelle Street was reconstructed. And is it perfect? No. Is it better? Yes. And that's important. And now there's that. What I've been told by the DOT commissioner is they're going, and I put it on here as well, they're going to be doing some level of resurfacing of the roadways. So small steps, but all in the right direction. And we had a meeting with the OEM, which is the Office of Emergency Management. We've been trying to get a CERT team on City Island, a specially designed team that that would be trained by the city. And there's been a push since of October of last year. And we're still working on it, but we've had some good calls with them. We need to get 30 people to commit to this, and frankly, probably even a little bit more. I have two QR code things over here, so we're going to put them online, but we also guess everybody, before you leave, if there's something that interests you, they're right over by the green bag over there. You just go over there, you put your phone on it, you can get a copy of it, you can sign up. We've got about 25 people. So we're going to continue to build off of that and hopefully get a team of over 30 soon enough. Another favorite topic, which I know many of you care about, is possibly getting a dog run. And this has been something that all of our elected officials at the state and the city level have demonstrated some level of commitment to, that they would like to fund. The question has been where to place it. Ambrosini Field, as we're all aware, is too crowded as it is, and there have been conflicts going on within the park about who has some designation, who the park is to serve. The children, the dogs, the dog owners, and it's going to be better probably for everyone involved if there's a separate dedicated space for the dogs. The Parks Department contends that Ambrosini Field is at critical mass and the dog run cannot be placed within there. Also, remember the Oyster Project also operates there, so there's a lot going on beyond the school as well. So we have been pursuing a possible space on Bound Street, the street end of Bound Street between Seafood City and the construction around the catering hall they put there. So, believe it or not, 20 years ago when that construction started, there was supposed to be a restrictive declaration. There was supposed to be a waterfront area right there at the street end, and it really never opened. So we've been talking with the Parks Department, Department of City Planning, to figure out why this was never triggered, and if now, with the support of our elected officials, we can open that area up to a possible dog run. And the benefits of doing it there is it's not by anyone's home. If someone is not a dog person, I'm sure there are a few of them on the island, but many of us are. And it's kind of remote enough that people people, it's not in any, but it's not going to create any sort of noise issue, but at the same time, it's close enough. It's kind of towards the center of the island where people can walk there with their dogs. So that is what we are trying to do.
John, I have a question.
Yes.
Is there any precedent for using a park for a portion of time to let dogs run around in New York City?
Not to my knowledge, but
I know-
I will ask that.
Because I know that the park on Shore Road,
Yeah.
the like Pelham only park that
Yeah.
you can't go to in summer because they have like the cop there.
Uh,
That park does do like a time dog run time, so like everybody with dogs goes there at the same time for like 1 or 2 hours. It's like for that purpose. And then the rest of the day, and they have a playground there just like ours, but like it goes back to being a regular, it's just like an early morning thing. It's like 7 to 9 a.m. or 7, like something like that. But I just was curious if like that's even a thing in New York City, or it would be against the rules, or
it's a great idea. I do not know, but we will ask.
I thought that before 9 a.m., at least, that Orchard Beach all dogs could be off the leash.
I can ask about that as well.
I mean, people, that's what I understood during the.
Um,
I don't have a dog,
yeah.
but I understood that.
So what I've observed, so my family has a dog. I don't personally have a dog, but what I've observed of, and I don't know how much of this I want to say on camera here, but how much of this I've observed of dog culture or dog owner culture is that there's a certain unofficial set of rules that may be respected by the community, but may not be codified into statute of law. And we will find out if there's a special time or something can be worked out.
yeah.
I know that.
I mean, I know in Pelham that's actually posted. Like
Yeah.
that's what they've set up for that particular park. So I
Yeah.
didn't know if there's any statute that would like
I haven't heard of that in the city, but it's worthwhile to ask and see.
as a temporary measure while we work on the dog run.
Yes.
I thought that was true of Central Park too. Before 9 a.m., the dogs can run.
I know we all want a place where the dogs can roam free, and let's focus on trying to make that happen, even temporarily and for the future.
Is it true they closed the dog run in Pelham Park? There used to be one there, right?
There was one in Pelham Park, and I remember all the stuff around it. I can double check what the status is, but my understanding is it's open. I will.
It would be nice. I'm not a dog owner, but if I was a dog owner, then I would think that would be nice on a place like City Island where all the dogs can get together and meet other dog owners. So I can see why people would want it here
Yeah.
versus like having to go all the way,
And-
all the way to the park. It's not that far, but it's like people walk their dogs, so they don't want to
Yeah.
necessarily have to jump in the car to go there.
And yeah, I
Or
agree.
go on a long walk when they just have 45 minutes or something.
And I think I totally agree with everything you just said. I think it's about finding a space, and I think this may be the compromise space. If they can't, since they are very insistent they can't put it at Ambrosini Field, and I'm appreciative of all the elected officials who have stepped up to cover it or have shown a commitment towards this issue. Next up, we are the Daffodil Project, which we got last year. We were about to distribute them because about 15 of you signed up for daffodil bulbs. The bulbs were not something we were particularly proud of, so we actually put an order in for brand new bulbs. We're anticipating them by next week. So if you're watching and you put in for the bulbs, you're like, oh, I haven't gotten them yet. You will be getting them soon. And then before the winter sets in, we're going to do a pop-up project, which everyone's going to be invited to do. We're going to try to find these short projects that can be done by a handful of people within an hour or two, and just put a bunch of them on the calendar. If you can come, great. If you can't, whatever. But easy to scale projects. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the daffodil bulbs and put them down by Belden Point, because the shrubbery there could use a little TLC.
Shrubbery is a generous.
Thank you. Yeah, you are correct. You are correct with that. I will agree
Very
with you.
kind of you.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're trying to be nice
A
here.
rock pile with a bunch of garbage on top
Yes,
of it. So.
yeah, fair. You said it. And then the street cleanup, we actually had a meeting about this as a board. I want to talk to you offline. We got some potential proposals. We want to reach out to some of our elected officials, see what sort of ancillary street street cleaning we can do, and I've had some preliminary conversations with the sanitation department, so I haven't forgotten about you, but it's a little bit more complicated than I thought it would be, and we will continue towards that end. Does anyone have any questions about old business? Also, while it's not on here, and it's not a super big update, because we did speak about UPK and 3PK at the last meeting, we are pursuing this. We had a meeting with the Deputy Chancellor 3 weeks ago, which was very helpful. They want to be helpful here on City Island. Everyone knows that they put 18 UPK slots, which is Universal Pre-Kindergarten, that's for the 4-year-olds. They put that in PS 175. They're trying to determine if more is needed, or if they want to put another program on the island, which may make sense as population tends to shift with time. Also, remember now they have the 3PK program, which is just UPK for the 3-year-olds. And we do not have that program here in the community yet. So they were receptive to that. I want to thank Teresa Cavney of our board, who put together a survey that went on social media. 40 young families on City Island filled out that survey with complete information about their children and everything. And I just want anyone who filled it out to know that was sent to the Department of Education a little over a week ago, I believe. So they are reviewing that. They appreciated the data. They appreciated the contributions of the community. I want to thank Teresa for putting the survey together, and we are still pushing away at that. So just know that it is not forgotten. On to new business. We are working on a program with the 45th Precinct. We have some extra grant money that we're looking to put towards a good use in the community, and grand larceny autos and just break-ins in cars is a prevalent problem. While it's not a huge problem on City Island, rim theft is an issue as well, or people stealing car wheels. So we're going to be looking into the purchase of a bulk amount of wheel locks for the island that people could sign up for. And I spoke to the theft prevention officer at the 45th Precinct, and if we buy the locks, he would be happy to volunteer his time to help people put them on their cars. He submitted a what is it? It's trying to think of another creative way to be nice to people. A few models of cars that are unfortunately susceptible to rim theft and loss, and which are popular for the thieves. So we will probably be buying wheel locks or putting out to the community if they own those cars, would they be interested in it, and we might make a mass purchase that way. But just something we're working on in the back of, kind of still being worked on, but it's going to take a little bit of time. The next two updates are that we have, there's going to be a new development on the island. According to Community Board 10, we received an email about it earlier this week. We're going to put it on social media tomorrow, but I wanted to bring it up today. Sometimes it's just easier to read the email. Don't kill the messenger. Good morning, City Island stakeholders. I received this information. In case anyone is wondering, please know that 125, 121, 125, and 129 City Island Avenue will become 3 two-family homes. So this is the area by Pilot Street, that side of the street of Pilot Street, not this side of the street of Pilot Street, where it's currently a parking lot. I think it appears they're trying to turn it into 3 two-family homes. Obviously, how that conflicts with the catering hall, we don't know. This is an initial just forewarning so people are aware. So we try to share that information with the community as we get it. I assume there will be some level of further review. And as we get that information, we'll make sure that it's shared with the public. We also have, if anyone is interested, either watching online or in the room, of joining our board and hanging out with Louisa, Kim, and myself, David, Beverly, Jeff, and others, Dan Triver as well, feel free to email us at cityonrising@gmail.com. All it takes is a commitment to attend these meetings, and most of the time, and also we have a board meeting every other month, and just to spearhead some sort of community benefit project once a season. So we're trying to grow our board, bring in more hands make for lighter work. So we're hoping all of you will help us with that, because even putting all this together does take time. And does anyone have any questions about anything in the community that's not on the agenda?
Old business.
Yes, sir.
The lighting from the driving range over to Shore Road.
Mm-hmm.
I think the trees might need to be trimmed because the lights are buried in the trees.
Yeah. So there was just an announcement because our elected officials actually, Senator Fernandez and Assemblymember Benedetto did send a letter to the governor and the mayor saying, if you're considering sites for the Green Bond Act, maybe Shore Road would be a good project. And it just came out recently in the news, and I know we talked about this last meeting, that the city has really not been getting a lot of green bond funds compared at proportion to the rest of the state. 40% of the state lives in the city, yet the city was getting like some paltry single-digit amount of the funds. So we're going to reach out to our elected officials and see if maybe they can push Shore Road. I know that people have been reaching out to the governor's office, and I bring this up in the context of the lighting is bad, but we need a very broad improvement project on Shore Road.
Those pathways, are they lit up on either side of the highway, of the road, of the street?
Liam, I'm not sure. So what I'm going to say is you and I, let's find some time one evening. On the earlier side, we'll go out there and we'll check out what needs to be done. I do, because as we said earlier, we try to focus on the positive and the not so positive. I will say that if you go over Orchard Beach Road, the lighting has gotten better. It's not great on Park Road. It's not great on Pelham Park Road either. But on Orchard Beach Road, and I've been going out there and taking photos once a month and sending it to them, so they seem to understand that we're not letting go of this. This has been a problem for 10 years. They need to upgrade the electrical grid, which all these lights are connected to. And my understanding is that's a jurisdictional hot potato between the Parks Department and DOT. But let's find time. You and I will go out there and we will try to find what other enhancements we can ask for. Patrick, I'm sorry. Stephen, then Patrick. We'll go quickly around.
Okay. A few of my neighbors have requested, or maybe a way of finding out if we can do it, having several benches put along City Island Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
People do some walking.
Yep.
And at times they're tired, they want to sit.
Mm-hmm.
There's no place to do that. So perhaps there might be an agency in the city that could provide that, or if not, possibly having the benches sponsored by the store owners who might want to purchase something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about just several benches along City Island Avenue for people to sit as they're walking, and that kind of thing.
So, thank you for that. A few years ago, we asked for bus shelters to be put into a bunch of areas. DOT, it goes through DOT. DOT said that the contract, they just drug it on. But I did have a conversation with them about possibly hiring someone to build benches and what would be needed there. So let's talk offline, because there was a possibility of doing that, but we've got to, again, it's going to cost several $1,000s. I think we could raise it. I think we could actually probably do a GoFundMe to do it, to be perfectly honest, but I think we could match it through the money we have in our reserves, and we could put a few on the avenue. We just got to find a good carpenter, and we've got to, again, there's got to be a signed declaration with the city, and I'm not sure if insurance comes into play, because God forbid somebody breaks the bit. I don't even want to suggest anything, because nowadays people sue for anything. So we've got to be careful not to put anyone in legal liability, but at the same time to do it in a way that is okay with the city. But let's talk offline, because I do think that's a good idea. Patrick?
I think just as a follow-up to your issue of car theft, and I think it's getting a lot worse now. Now that cars are very high-tech. I had 2 thefts of the monitor in the front of my Honda Hybrid, and to replace it like $1,500, $2,000, and the robbers, it's like a 10-minute job. They just undo a few screws, pull it out, sell it on the drug market, whatever they're doing with that, I don't know, but they can get like $5,000 for it, and it's an easy theft. And I was robbed in not locally, but in Mount Vernon, and also on City Island, Miniford King, and they're just so easy today. I went to the cops. He said, oh, there's nothing we can do about it. We suggest you buy a camera. I said, oh, great. Then what?
Yeah.
You have
Yeah,
everything else to
now
be
I know what
stolen.
they look like. It's
Yeah.
I know that, and we've been trying to work on this for a precinct-wide thing. In certain precincts, what they'll do is they'll get the, and the city did this a short while ago. It's not exactly like what you're talking about, but what they'll do is they'll get those air tags for you to put in your car if something gets stolen. I don't know how that would help with the monitor, but I guess if your car got stolen and you had an air tag, you could find where it went off to. But as it relates to the monitor, let's have an offline and let's try to see if we can get. I don't know what could be done in those situations. I don't know what the precinct recommends, but I can't foresee that that's an uncommon problem. Especially like you look at these new Teslas, like they got something bigger than that iPad right there in the center console. So this is not an uncommon problem, and I assume there has to be some theft protection.
There isn't. I talked to the dealer.
Really?
He
Okay.
said, there's nothing we can do. I said, can I put like a barrier? No, then it would interfere with the reception of the monitor. I said, oh, great. So what do I do? He said, I can't tell you.
Wow. All right, we'll try, and maybe there's nothing that can be done at this time. Remember, back in the day, people used to steal the iPhone, and then once they stole it, that was the end of the show, and then they created Find My Phone, and now you steal the iPhone. There was so much pressure put on the industry that, now if your iPhone gets reported stolen, they just power it off, and the theft is out of luck, for lack of a better term, unless they quickly turn it over and make some money. Not that I'm advocating for that for anyone watching my television. Don't want to get myself in trouble here. Someone will clip that and say that I just endorsed that iPhone theft, so got to be careful.
No iPhones at the swap.
Yes, no iPhones at the. Thank you. That's a good recovery there. Anyone else before we turn it over to our guest to close us out here? Okay, thank you very much. Come on up here, David. This is David from Senator Fernandez's office.
Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to introduce myself again. My name is David Montilla. I'm from Senator Fernandez's office, and I come here I come to these community meetings around City Island very regularly because I want to know what the community needs, and my whole initiative is to make sure that I note it down and fight like hell on the back end to make sure that everything is resolved. So that's why I'm out here, and if you guys have any questions and concerns, please come up to me after the meeting and I will share with you my contact and you'll be able to reach me directly. Aside from that, I did have some updates on events that we have planned coming up. Just give me 1 second while I load it up. Okay, so we'll start with our St. Francis de Chantal Trunk or Treat. That is Saturday, October 19th from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the SFDC schoolyard. We're having a trunk or treat. We're gonna have candies, games, raffles, and costumes are encouraged. So let's get in the spirit. Another one will be our second annual fall carnival. Emphasis on car. We'll be decorating trunks, and it's another trunk or treat where we are serving candy, books, music, entertainment, and much more. So please come out. Next up, we have a Happy Halloween costume party on the 31st of October. It starts at 4 p.m. It's inside the 1880 Community Center. Again, we have flyers over at the table over here. If anyone is interested, please take one. The next one, we have a collaboration with Assemblyman John Zaccaro, Assemblyman Benedetto. We're hosting a community fall festival on the 26th, starting at noon. It's at the Loretto Playground at 111 Van Nest Avenue in the Bronx. We have a Halloween party on the 26th of October, 3 p.m. I don't know if you're following along, but 26th of October is a popular date, so make sure you get out. This one is hosted by the Pelham Bay Little League, so that sounds like a lot of fun. Please come out. And finally, we have a collaboration with Council Member Amanda Farias. It is our annual fall festival. That is also on October 19th. I know that was a mouthful, so please feel free to take any of the flyers. And again, if anyone wants my contact information, I'll be happy to share it with anyone. And I apologize, John, I have made your microphone a little bit warm. So.
Thank you, David, and thank you. And David's got a ton of flyers here, so everyone take one, pass them around, and we'll try to put them up. There's a bulletin board right on Schofield Street, so afterwards I'll throw whatever you have there. I'll throw it up on there so people can see it. So, does anyone else have anything before we close out the meeting? Sir.
I was driving with a family member in coming to City Island, and there was like a bunch of deer. I know
Yes.
there's some deer signs, but she was saying that it's not like obvious.
Mhm.
I don't know if maybe you can get like some more obvious deer signs. There was like almost like 15 on the road. And I was
Yeah,
like,
there's more and more every year. It's
Mhm.
amazing how many deer
Yeah.
there are.
We've gotten them to put up.
20 or 30 at a time.
Absolutely. This is. I think we all see this on our trips, and it took them 10 years to put up a few deer signs, and now we've gotten them pretty much by all the entrance and exits. Yeah, we need to examine what can be done to kind of naturally channel these deers towards a place in the roads that are well lit. Obviously you can't tell a deer where to cross, and they're not subject to the laws of man. The laws of nature are quite different, but we need to look into ways to naturally. There was actually just something in one of the environmental magazines that I have on my desktop that is how to naturally channel wildlife. So afterwards we'll talk, and I'll get your information, and we'll try to see if something can be done, if we can ask for the Parks Department to take on something. But yeah, I mean, I'm very concerned, and the fact, as we always go through here, that the roadway is not well lit, as Liam talked about, that there's potholes everywhere, that there's poor irrigation. It's a disaster waiting to happen. And frankly, right now, your cell phone might not even work half the time. So it is quite a conundrum in that regard. So we'll talk, but yes, you are 100% right. And I think you don't get much unanimity on City Island on any issue, but I think we all want to save the deer. So I'll get the one nasty email from the one person who doesn't after this meeting, who's not in the room, of course. All right, thank you, everybody. I hope you all get home safe. We are going to be, I know we've been keeping these meetings on the second Thursday just to boost turnout. I know, and with some of our board as well, everyone's very busy. We may be looking into, in the spring, switching the meeting to a different standard day. So we're going through everybody's schedules, and we'll be putting out probably a poll to the membership. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you all. Have a great evening.